Okay, we're going to start going through this review. Hopefully this will help you ladies get through this stuff. Just know this board was acting up earlier this day, so who knows what this pen's going to do. Okay, so find all excluded values for the expression. So basically you're looking for your restrictions. Okay, when you're in a rational function, your restrictions are any number that makes the denominator equal to 0. So that's what you cannot have. Denominator cannot equal 0. So we got to take whatever the denominator is and let it not be 0. So solve that out, just like you would a normal equation. Move your 6 over and it becomes positive, and then you're going to divide 3 by 3. So y cannot be 2. So it's going to ask you for, what is restricted. You'll probably just have a box and you're just going to put 2 in it because we only had one of them. Okay, so simplify. You may leave the numerator and denominator of your answer factored. So that means don't worry about multiplying it out. Just find your matches. Remember, it has to be exactly perfect matches. You can't do part of a factor. It has to be multiplied for you to be able to reduce. So you can't reduce anything that is added or subtracted. So I see 2y minus 7. So I can take that entire factor because it is multiplied times 5 and it's multiplied times y plus 2. And I can take this factor because it's multiplied times the other stuff in the top. But since it's got the subtraction, you got to take the whole thing. All right, now the only other thing I see that can reduce is the 5 and the 35. 5 goes into 5 one time, and 5 goes into 35 7 times. So that leaves me a 7 in the top with a y minus 7. And in the bottom, I've got a 1. You don't have to write the 1. And you've got y plus 2. So that's as small as you can go. You cannot reduce those y's because they're attached to things with plus and minus signs. Okay, simplify. On these problems, you have to remember to always factor first. You're not going to be able to get off the ground on any of these things if you do not factor first. So please don't try to start reducing to start with. You are attached with plus and minus signs. Not going to work. Those are terms, not factors. So just look at the top. If you look at the top, I can take everybody's divisible by 3 and everybody has a W. So if you'll go through it and pull that out, 6 divided by 3 is 2. He had 2 W's, you took 1, so there's 1 left. And then 9 divided by 3 is 3, and you took his W. All right, in the bottom, everybody is divisible by 3, and once again, has a W. So 3 divided by 3 is just 1. You don't have to write that. He had 2 W's, and now you have 1 left. So 21 divided by 3 is 7. He had 1 W, and you took it. So I finally got it factored. Now I've got to look and see if there's anything common. Well, the things in the parentheses are totally different, so they're stuck in the answer. I know good and well I'm going to have 2W minus 3, and I'm going to have W minus 7. Okay, up front, the numbers go and the W's go. I can do that because everything is multiplied. That frees them up and lets you reduce. So actually, I didn't need the parentheses. I could, you can just do it like this. So there's your answer. All right, it just says for each expression, simplify if possible. Okay, now this is the stuff that was throwing y'all for a loop. You can reverse it, or reverse your terms around a negative sign as long as the two terms are the same. So if you'll look, I've got a 6 minus 5v. So that means it has to be, flip them, 5v minus 6. That's legal. You can actually reduce that. It's because there's a negative in there. So it's perfectly fine for you to reduce these and just get a -1. Now, if that blows your mind, pick one of them, whichever one looks normal to you. Most people think the bottom one looks normal because it has the variable up front. Take the other part and rearrange it. That's -5v plus 6. Now, hopefully you see that the signs are completely backwards. If that's the case, which I hope it is, you can take a negative out of the top. If you factor a negative out, what that does is changes all of your signs. So now it's evident that, this is a perfect match, top and bottom. Now I've got a negative. Well, negative is not an answer. So that's -1. Now, It's fine if you reverse things around a plus sign. That's not a problem. That's the commutative property of addition. But your terms have to be the same. So this right here, yeah, they would reduce and you just get 1. But if you're looking at this closely, this is 2v plus 7. And the bottom is 7v plus 2. I did not say the same thing. So 2v, 7v, these don't work. So this is as simple as possible. So you just, I don't know how the computer does it. It might say, you know, not possible to factor, but you can't do anything with that. Okay, so simplify. Once again, what should go through your brain is factor first. Okay, so you got to pull it apart. So on this first one, there's nothing you can do with x minus 5. And the bottom, I'm hoping you realize that is the difference of two squares. So you got x minus 5 and you got x plus 5. Once you get it factored, that's when you can kind of take a step back and look at it and say, do I have a match? And remember, the minus signs and the plus signs are super glue. So I got to do this entire factor with that entire factor. Now, be careful. The only thing you have left is in the bottom of the fraction. So your answer needs to have it in the bottom of the fraction. If there's nothing up top, you got to put a 1 up there to let the world know that your answer, that term is in the bottom. So it's 1 over x plus 5. Okay, follow the same process over here and factor. Okay, you got just a regular old trinomial. What two numbers multiply to 10 and add 7? That'd be 5 and 2. My signs are the same and they're both negative. Boom, boom. Okay, in the bottom, oh, I could take a 5 out. Now that's going to leave me x squared minus 4. Ooh, I hope you noticed something about that. I'm not done factoring. So the top just needs to be copied and you got to be patient. Let your 5 sit there. You haven't done anything with it. We've got to factor that again. That's the difference of two squares. So x, 2, 2, minus, plus. Now once you get it completely pulled apart, that's when you step back and you look to see whether or not you have a match. Well, x minus 2 is in the top and the bottom. And that's it. That's all I can do. You cannot use these 5s. This top 5 is glued to that x with that minus sign. So it is not up. This 5 would be eligible because he's multiplied, but this top one is not. So you are stuck with x minus 5 over 5 times x plus 2. So the top one is a term and the bottom one is a factor. They both have to be factors for you to reduce. Okay, same thing. When I look at the top, I'm thinking that sucker looks backwards, so let's take a negative out so we can make him turn. So I'm going to take out a negative 6. All right, when I do that, let's see here, 24 divided by negative 6 is going to be a negative 4. And I'm purposely turning them around. So yes, that was in the front, and I'm writing them in the back. So if I take a negative 6 out of that one, that leaves me a positive x squared. So yes, I turned it around, but that was to make it look normal. All right, you can go ahead and factor the bottom. I've got x and x. Two numbers multiply to 14 and add to 9 is 7 and 2. Signs are the same, both negative. All right, hopefully you realize we got the same thing right here. You're not done. You got to pull it all the way apart before you try to reduce. And that's what happened to a bunch of you. You didn't do that. Now that it's completely pulled apart, look for your matches. I've got x minus 2. So I need a negative 6 and x plus 2. And then I got to have an x minus 7 in the bottom. So that'd be my answer. Okay, now multiplying. Multiplying, you can just go ahead and you want to factor and reduce. But this doesn't have anything to factor. It's just little monomials up there. So you're looking for common things. There's actually two ways to work it. I would just start reducing where it is. Is there anything in the bottom that reduces with 2? I don't see a thing. Is there anything in the bottom that reduces with 14? Yes. 7 goes into 7 1 times. 7 goes into 14 2 times. All right, then move on and do something else. I've got A's. I have 3 A's in the bottom and 5 A's in the top. So I'm going to do the difference. So these 3 cancel here. 5 minus 3 is 2, so that's going to be a squared up here. All right, now when I do my B's, I've got 1 up top. There's another one up top, so I have a total of 2 in the top. With the 5 in the bottom, they're going to reduce. 5 minus 2 is 3. Okay, so I just need to clean up this mess. Don't forget him. So I got 2 times 2 gives me 4. and that's a squared up top. And in the bottom, the only thing that I have to write down is b to the third. Now, if that just makes your head hurt, what you can do is you can start and you can go ahead and multiply it together, which means you squish them up. So 2 times 14 is 28, and that would be a to the 5th, if I'm trying to read through that, and then that would be b squared. In the bottom, you're going to multiply straight across. That'd be 7, a to the 3rd, b to the 5th. I think I did read that right. Then you can reduce it like normal. Well, 7 goes into 28 4 times, so I know I'm going to have a 4. And then my a's, let's see here, I'm subtracting these exponents, so that's going to be 2 up top. Subtract these exponents, the big ones in the bottom, so I'll put the answer there. Whichever way you want to do it, you get the answer. All right, this is more where we're headed. It is multiplying, so you, again, when you see binomials, you've got to think factor, 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 factor. So out of that top one, right here, I can take a 2, so that leaves x minus 3. If you look at 9x plus 7, there is nothing you can do with that. You're just stuck. Okay, scoot over and do the other one. 3 and 18. Yes, 3 goes into both, so, but don't throw the 3 in the river. You need him. Stick him right out there. 18 divided by 3 is 6. And then you can't do anything with x minus 3. So once it's all factored, step back and say, okay, do I have a match? It has to be 1 in the top and 1 in the bottom. They cannot both be in the same level. So I got 1 down here, and I got 1 up there. So those are gone. And, you know, if this 3 and this 9 catch your eye, I hope you know the 3 is free because that's 3 times. But over here, this is attached with this plus sign. Yes, it's 9 times x, but that 9x is one term, and it's attached with a plus sign. He's not free. You cannot reduce the 3 and the 9. So there's nothing else to reduce. I have a 2 and an x plus 6 up there. And in the bottom, I have 9x plus 7. So that's my answer. Okay, if I come down to this one, again, first line of defense is always, always, always factor first. So I've got x squared minus 4 is x minus 2, x plus 2. All right, can't do anything with x minus 1. All right, scoot over. 3 is in common. That's going to be x minus 1. And then I've got a trinomial, so what two numbers multiply to 6 and subtract to give me 1? That would be 3 and 2. Signs are different. The big one is plus. So 3 gets the plus, 2 gets the minus. Okay, so step back, find your matches. I'm seeing x minus 1, top and bottom. I got an x minus 2 and I got an x minus 2. It looks like I'm done. So I'm going to put the 3 first, and I got x plus 2, and then I've got x plus 3. And again, you cannot reduce 3's because this 1 in the bottom is a term. It's not a factor. He's stuck with that plus sign. So stop right there. Okay, keep on multiplying. We can get this one done, and then we're going to have to stop making another video. All right, if we'll pull that apart, this is that monkey face factoring. So it's going to be a little bit more complicated. Let's see here. But I only know 2 numbers that multiply to 7. That's going to be 7 times 1. Now I got to come up with 2 numbers that multiply to 8 so that my middle terms will add up to 18. So let's see here. I don't want to put the 4 in the back because 4 times 7 is 28. That's too big. So let's do the 2 here and the 4 there. Now that'd give me 4x, and that'd give me 14x. Yep, that adds to 18. So that's good. Signs are the same, both of them negative. So I got them factored. Now over here, you can't pull out anything with 3x and 10. In the bottom, you can take out a 2. All right, once you get that done, okay, let's finish this one up. Look for your matches. You got x minus 2, and nothing else goes. So you are stuck with 7x minus 4, 3x plus 10, and in the bottom, you got x plus 6. And that's as good as you can get it. So you can't do any better. We'll pick it up with number 12 on the next video.